Coming up, I'm going to reset there, Colin. Sorry for the live audience here. Coming up, Thomas Brown takes over for Shane Waldron. How can he jumpstart this offense? What's actually realistic? Because you're not going to just create a new playbook. Well, I got 5 things that I think are actually tangible that you could really change immediately if you wanted to, if you're Thomas Brown. So we're going to dive into that here on Chicago Bears Now. And listen, let's spread the word of this video. Hit the share icon, select X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, the X button, and tag me in the post at HGramNFL. I will not only retweet everybody who does that, but I will follow you back as well. A little follow for follow action. Share the video, select X, tag me in the post, which shares this video, and everybody who does that will get a follow back on Twitter. Okay, what can Thomas Brown do? Number one, and I quite frankly think this is the most important, I think you got to free Caleb up as a player. Now, I'm not saying he had been coached to never look to leave the pocket, that he had been coached to stay in there and, hold the ball until something frees up. Like, I'm not trying to, take blame away from Caleb Williams. He's taken too many sacks. Some his fault, some not. But 9 sacks in a game, 9 aren't going to be on the offensive line. It's going to be a mixture. And I can already think of a few off the top of my head that were completely on him. And Thomas Brown kind of alluded to this in his presser. He was like, listen, key downs, key spots especially, go be a playmaker. Like, that's part of what makes him a special talent. So I think that's got to be encouraged. I hope Thomas sat him down. I know they had a conversation on Tuesday and just said, hey, listen, man, we believe in you. We think you're the guy. And we're going to encourage you to go be you. Like, you don't always have to sit in the pocket. Like, I almost feel like Caleb is just trying to prove to the world he can win in the pocket. And he has proven at times he can. Recently, not so much. Obviously, you're not going to be able to bail on every pocket, but pick your spots. You don't like what you see a lane where you can take off and scramble or go throw on the run, keep a play alive. You got to reduce the sacks, and you got to keep plays alive. So hopefully that's being encouraged, and hopefully Caleb does that and builds that confidence back up because it feels like, even though he wouldn't admit it, confidence could be a little shaky right now. All right, number 2, more Rome, less Keenan. I think this is pretty simple. I think most of us can get on board with this idea. I am not saying Keenan Allen can't have a role. I am not saying he can't help this team. What I am saying is Rome Odunze and DJ Moore need to be your top 2 receivers. So when you're in 12 personnel or any formation that has just 2 receivers in the game, it needs to be Rome and DJ more often than not. Because when it's 12 personnel and Keenan's one of the guys, well, he's stuck as an outside receiver, and he just doesn't win in those spots, especially down the field, very often anymore. He needs to be your slot guy that takes advantage of slot corners, safeties, etc., wins those short area quickness routes, and produces that way. Like, to me, Keenan Allen should be a really good role player in this offense now. Rome and DJ should be your big playmakers. Like, that's what this should look like moving forward. I mean, you look at the numbers, even though it feels like they've been trying to get Keenan more featured recently, like, he's not even at 10 yards a catch. And I know DJ's kind of the same as well, but we know he's a big play ability guy. He averaged over 14 yards a catch last year. Rome was proving he can be a big playmaker in terms of the yards per catch in the NFL. He's got to be one of your top 2 guys. Keenan Allen is not winning downfield. He's just not. Anytime they've tried to throw vertical to him, other than like the goal line fade against Jacksonville to the left corner, like even that back shoulder one up the seam, like Caleb threw him open. Like, he was covered, and he threw it to a spot where only Keenan could get it. So he's just not winning downfield. He's slow. And that's okay. He could still win short area quickness. He could be your number 3. He should not be one of your top 2 guys moving forward. It should be Rome. It should be DJ. Those should be your top 2 receivers. What say you? Should the Bears reduce Keenan Allen's role? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I think it should be a clear yes. And by the way, part of that reduction should be Cole Kmet should get some of those targets too. Like, he's a guy that you're not using nearly often enough. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring Chicago Bears Now. You can make money by playing Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. 2 to 6 player lineups. Daily fantasy made easy, where you can win up to 100 times your money with as few as 4 correct picks, depending on the type of plays available. So check that out. Football, basketball, hockey, soccer, fighting sports, esports, tons available, and you can cross over your sports within your entries. You could have a 6-player lineup of a football player, a basketball player, a hockey player, a fighter, a soccer player, and an esport athlete. Seriously, you can do that if you want to, because all you do is choose more or less based on the stat projections available from Prize Picks, just like I did here. DJ Moore, I'm going to bank on him this game. More than 42.5 yards against the Packers. Jordan Love, I'm going to think that he's going to throw at least one interception. So I took more than half an interception. Little goblin play there, easier to hit, which isn't surprising because Jordan Love's thrown a lot of picks this year. 5 to win just under $15. And if you're a new customer, if you play for just $5, you're going to get a $50 bonus when you use our code CLNS when you sign up at prizepicks.com/CLNS. So what are you waiting for? Get started with Prize Picks, available in more than 30 states. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started today. Speaking of receivers, move DJ Moore around. I think they just have tried to make him the X receiver, and I'm not saying they haven't moved him at all. Like we saw the play last week where they motion him, try to get him in the flat. Keenan decides he doesn't want to block anybody. He gets blown up. But I'm not even talking about plays behind the line of scrimmage. I'm just saying play him in the slot, play him on the outside some, put him in motion more. Get him touches, not just in gadgety ways, but like he's not a boundary receiver for 90% of snaps type of guy. He's a 5'11 receiver that's an average to above average route runner. He's not your typical X receiver. Rome Odunze's play style is that. Now, Rome can move around too, but he's 6'2", 6'3", can win on the outside with route running. He can catch contested balls. In theory, they haven't given him that many chances this year. But DJ Moore, the best part about his game, he's like a flanker receiver. He is a yak machine. Where's it gone? Last year, he had 539 yards after the catch, 11th in the NFL in a bad passing offense. He doesn't even have 400 total receiving yards this year. It just has not been the same. And I think part of it is the quarterback and him haven't been on the same page, but part of it is they've tried to just make him win with route running. And that's really what they've asked all their receivers to do, which I think is why they're making a quarterback change is, hey, the offense has been DJ, go win. Keenan, go win. Rome, go win. And they haven't won consistently enough. So you got to create conflict for the defense, which we're going to get to in a second. But moving DJ and more around, asking him to do different things within the offense and not just be a stagnant outside receiver is going to help him out, and it's going to help the offense out. So to me, I think Rome should be the primary X. The beauty of these 3 receivers is they can all move around, although I think Keenan's kind of just a slot guy at this point. DJ can be the Z. And oh, by the way, in this receiver discussion, I think Tyler Scott needs some snaps. I'm not saying you give him 30% of the snaps. Can he get 10 to 15 snaps a game, though? Like, can you find that available? This offense needs some speed in it, and Tyler Scott is just sitting over there. Like, why not play him every once in a while? I'm hoping that Thomas Brown gives him some opportunities. Subscribe to the channel. We got videos all year long here on Bears Now. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. We're bringing you videos every single day. Most days we have 2 videos. We go live 3 times per week, every Monday, Thursday, and game day. Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock Central. Game days over an hour before kickoff, sometimes an hour 15, hour 30 this week potentially if we reach 108,000 subscribers before Sunday. So hit that sub button, turn on notifications. We're rocking with you every single day. All right, number 4, condense the formations. And I was listening to Hogan Johns. They do a great job, longtime Bears podcast. They've covered this team for a while. They had Nate Tice on, who, if you guys who have subscribed to this channel for a while, I had him on at the NFL Combine when we were out there back in February. He's the son of former Vikings head coach and Bears offensive coordinator Mike Tice. Played quarterback in college, knows all these offenses, the verbiage. He does really well. I would encourage you guys to go listen to what he was saying. But he kind of made a point that Sean McVay offenses, like disciples of his, a big part of that offense is running a lot of condensed tight formations. What do I mean by that? Well, instead of spreading your receivers way out, they're closer to the linemen from a horizontal standpoint to start the play. And then that gives you more room to run these routes. You can create conflicts with rub routes and all this different stuff. And when the Bears hired Shane Waldron, like, oh, this is McVay tree. Well, Next Gen Stats, which courtesy of them via Nate Tice here on that podcast, Rams dead last in formation width, meaning everything's condensed basically. Vikings second lowest, a lot of condensed formations. Falcons, Zach Robinson, McVay guy, by the way, O'Connell, McVay guy with Minnesota. Falcons 28th. Bears 8th. That's not the McVay offense. Like, now maybe some of it is because, hey, Caleb came from this air raid, spread it out offense. Let's marry some of what he's good at with the McVay offense. Okay, fine. Well, can it be 15th? Why is it 8th? Why is everything spread out with stagnant routes? And I thought Tice made a good point too, where a lot of these routes are like outbreaking routes. Well, you're already spread out and you're doing stuff to the sideline. There's no room. So you've got to torch the guy defending you, and the throw has to be perfectly timed and on target just to have a chance to be completed. Because you're already spread out, you're asking your receivers without any kind of conflict, not a lot of motion, to just beat their guy to the sideline, and you got to get the throw out and perfectly on time consistently. Caleb's done some of that, but that's asking a lot from a rookie quarterback. So why condense the formations, Harrison? Again, you have more room for these receivers, tight ends to operate after the snap. There's more ground to cover because if you're closer together, well, you got all this space for the rest of the field post-snap. You can run crossers, more mesh, run routes. You can run bunch trips where the defenders, especially if it's in a man defense situation, they got to make quick decisions. They got to figure out where their guy is going. So I think you got to put these defenses you're playing in conflict, and it should create just quicker decisions for Caleb too, being able to identify which guy springs loose in a lot of these situations. So again, saying all this stuff doesn't mean it's going to look better, but these are tangible things you can change this week preparing for Sunday that should be implemented immediately. So I'm hoping we see that. And then lastly, and this should just be obvious, like stay with the run. Commit to running the football. You don't have to bail on the run because you're down 7-0. Like, some of these splits this year are kind of alarming. Look at the Bears plays breakdown this year. So the first category is passes, like attempts, QB runs, which most of those are scrambles from Caleb. He's run 40 times this year. I would say less than 10 were designed runs, but even if it's 10, okay, if you want to put that in the handoffs category or a straight run category, that's only 214 to 362. And then sacked, which is obviously a designed pass. That's 65% of your offense almost. A pass, your QB scrambling or taking a sack, a.k.a. all pass plays. You've only handed it off 35% of the time. That's just way too jarring of a split for any team, much less a team with a rookie quarterback. And I get in some of these games you've been down, but like the Colts game, for example, 52 passes, you were never out of that game. You could have stayed with the run. And the Bears should be a team that's trying to run the ball 45% of the time or more. Now, to run the ball more than 50% of the time, that's pretty difficult because that means you're just dominating. You're playing with a lead, and so late in the game you're running the ball. I get that. But 35.5% of the time, like the bad teams in the league shouldn't be that low. The team's constantly playing from behind. The Bears are 4-5. Like they've won some games. And in that 3-game stretch when Caleb was balling, against the Rams, 23 pass attempts. Against the Jags, 29. I can't remember the exact number for the Panthers game, but he was below 30 in all 3 of those. Like, it's just way too many pass attempts in a lot of these games. But during that stretch when he played well, you were way more balanced. So you got to get balanced. Stay committed to the run. Don't bail on it. If it's not working to perfection early, take pressure off the quarterback. Like, that's what all this stuff should do. Make it easier on your rookie quarterback. So I think these are tangible things. Thomas Brown can do it immediately. One more, which we'll see if they do. I'll just kind of verbally mention it here, is do you scale back how much you're asking him to do at the line of scrimmage? He's setting all the protections with the offensive line. None of the other rookie quarterbacks are doing that, by the way. I think that's of note. So I think long-term, that helps him. But in the short term, do you scale that back a little bit? I think that could be a good idea. We'll see if they do that. But that aside, these are all things that you can control. Like just using personnel differently with receivers. Different formations. Like that stuff's got to be in the playbook. Like it's not like that's new stuff. I mean, McVay was a guy Waldron was under. So we'll see if Thomas Brown does some of this stuff, and I hope he does because I think it could help. All right, will the Bears' offense improve? Type B if you think it'll get better. Type W if it'll get worse. If it gets worse, I mean, I mean, can it get worse than 3 points against the Patriots? That would be pretty shocking. But let us know what you guys think. B for better or W for worse. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham, sub for Bears Dubs. Big game on Sunday against the Packers. FGB.